Have you ever sat down at the end of a long day and quietly asked yourself, did I truly live today? I know many of us, especially in our 50s or 60s, have walked through life carrying countless responsibilities, accomplishments, and also wounds that no one else can see. We have worked hard, raised our families, built careers, contributed to society. And yet, when night falls, there often remains an emptiness inside, a quiet feeling that something invisible still ties us down, keeping us from touching true peace. I am reminded of the Buddha's words, "The mind is the root of all things. If the mind is not at peace, nothing on the outside can bring peace." When we allow harmful habits like endless worrying, restless overthinking, or harsh self-criticism to take root in us, then no matter how many successes we achieve, our inner home will still feel cluttered and suffocating. It is like decorating a room with expensive furniture while leaving piles of garbage hidden in the corners. From the outside, it looks beautiful, but the air inside is heavy and unlivable. And I know at this stage of life, many people say, "It's too late to change. I've lived like this for decades. This is just who I am." But I promise you, it is never too late to put the burden down. I have worked with hundreds of students over the age of 60 here in the US, and I have seen them begin their practice very late in life, yet still discover a profound joy, a gentle peace, as if they had just come home after wandering for too long. One of them, Margaret, 72 years old, once told me, "I spent my whole life caring for my children, for my husband, for my work. And when I finally retired, I realized I had never truly cared for myself. My mind felt like an abandoned house." But when she started practicing mindful breathing, releasing one burden at a time, something changed. Just a few months later, her face lit up with the glow of a flower blooming in late spring. Watching her, I realized again, peace does not belong to youth or old age. Peace belongs to those who dare to let go. Even science tells us the same. Psychologists have found that chronic stress and constant worry overstimulate the amygdala, the part of the brain that keeps us on high alert. But just a few minutes of slow, mindful breathing or a short meditation activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that calms, regulates, and brings clarity. In other words, a single mindful breath can literally change the chemistry of your brain. So why do we keep swallowing the bitter medicine of these habits? Overthinking, worrying about failure, comparing ourselves to others, when they cure nothing? Why do we keep carrying ropes that only tie us tighter? I believe that even at 60 or 70, we still hold the power to choose differently. And today I want to invite you into a gentle journey, to recognize the habits that silently steal your peace, and to slowly set them down, one by one, like heavy stones you've been carrying on your back for too long. There was once a man who came to me after meditation practice and said, "I think too much, and these thoughts exhaust me more than any kind of work." I looked into his eyes, tired, restless, but also carrying a deep longing for release. I smiled and said, "You know, thoughts are just like clouds, but the problem is we keep holding on to each cloud, pulling it closer, building storms out of them, and soon we forget the sky was ever blue." Psychologists tell us that more than 85% of the things we worry about never actually happen, which means most of the fears and dark scenarios we replay in our heads are nothing more than illusions. And yet we allow them to rob us of sleep, of joy, of health. In Buddhism, this restless state is called the monkey mind, the mind jumping from branch to branch, never still. But here's the truth. One mindful breath is enough to calm that monkey, and in that moment, the sky within us clears. Then another student once asked me, "Teacher, I don't just think too much. I also criticize myself all the time. My inner voice keeps whispering, 'You're not good enough. You will fail. Why bother?'" I sat beside them and said gently, "Imagine this. If there was a friend who walked with you every single day, but all they ever did was insult you, tear you down, tell you you're worthless, would you keep that friend in your life? Then why do you keep accepting such cruel words from your own mind?" In the Buddhist teaching of right speech, we are encouraged to speak kindly to others. But deeper still, it is about speaking kindly to ourselves. Every word you repeat becomes a seed in the garden of your mind. If you keep planting the seeds of, "I am not enough," you will grow a forest of shame. But if you begin to water the seeds of compassion, phrases like, I am learning each day, I am worthy of peace, I am growing a little more every step, then those seeds bloom into strength. I once guided a 68-year-old woman through metta meditation, loving kindness practice. At first, she laughed and said, "It feels so strange to tell myself, may I be happy, may I be safe, may I be at peace. I don't believe it." But I encouraged her to keep going. After 21 days, she came back to class with tears in her eyes and said, "For the first time in decades, I feel worthy of love." That is not fantasy, that is healing. And then we must talk about another heavy chain, the fear of failure. I often ask my students, if failure no longer frightened you, what would you dare to do today? Most of them fall silent, then smile shyly, because deep down they know many dreams have been locked away in drawers for years simply because of fear. But failure is not the enemy. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall, they stumble, they cry, and they rise again. If that child decided after 2 falls, I wasn't born to walk, none of us would be standing here today. As adults, we forget that simple truth. In Buddhism, we speak of anatta, the truth of no fixed self. You are not defined by one failure, or even 100 failures. You are not frozen in a single moment. You are like a river, always flowing, always changing. To believe I failed, therefore I'm worthless, is like confusing one stone on the riverbank with the entire river itself. I remember one of my students, John, who was 55. For 20 years, he dreamed of writing a book, but he never started because he kept telling himself, I'm not good enough, I'll only fail. One day I asked him, John, what is worse, failing after trying or living your whole life regretting that you never tried? That question unlocked something in him. He began writing, slowly, awkwardly, page by page. A year later, he held his first published book in his hands. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was his. And science supports this too. Research with older adults shows that people regret far more the things they never attempted than the failures they actually experienced. Which means that every time we let fear of failure hold us back, we are robbing ourselves not of success, but of the joy of trying, the dignity of courage. So I invite you to see these 3 ropes, overthinking, negative self-talk, and fear of failure, as heavy stones in the backpack of your life. You may have carried them for decades, but the truth is, you can set them down. And when you do, you will realize something extraordinary. Your back was always capable of standing tall. It was only the stones that made you bend. After one of my talks, a woman in her 60s came up to me. She sighed and said, Teacher, everyone seems better than me. They're successful, happy, traveling, enjoying life, and I feel like I have nothing. I looked at her gently and asked, have you noticed that you're busy watering your neighbor's garden while your own garden is drying up? Comparison is like that. We look at someone else's blooming flowers but forget that they too spent time planting and watering. Each person has a season, a rhythm, a way of unfolding. When you turn back and tend your own soil, your flowers will also bloom, in your time and your way. Science even confirms this. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania found that people who practice gratitude consistently experience less envy and anxiety. Gratitude shifts your gaze from what others have to what you already hold. And I've witnessed this in my students. When they start writing down 3 things they're grateful for each day, they laugh more and they compare less. But comparison is only one rope. There is also the silent fire of resentment and anger. One older man told me he still hasn't forgiven a friend who betrayed him over 30 years ago. He said, every time I remember it, I feel the same rage all over again. I asked him, do you realize you're like someone holding a burning coal, waiting to throw it at your enemy? But all this time, you've been the one getting burned first. Hatred doesn't only wound the heart, it weakens the body. Medical studies have shown that holding grudges is linked to higher blood pressure, sleep disturbances, even weaker immune function. Forgiveness is not about saying what you did was okay. Forgiveness is choosing not to carry the poison anymore. It's freedom for your own heart. Then there is worry, the constant heavy backpack many older adults carry. What if my health declines? What if my children struggle? What if tomorrow's worse? The truth is, most of these worries never become reality. Worry is like rocking in a chair all day. You move, you get tired, but you go nowhere. The Buddha taught, if the problem can be solved, why worry? If it cannot be solved, worry is useless. When you pause and ask, am I safe right now? Do I have food, shelter, breath in this very moment? You realize the present is far more stable than the storm your mind invents. Another quiet thief is procrastination. It doesn't come with loud crashes, but it quietly steals our days, one after another. I have a friend, 65 years old, who has always dreamed of writing his memoir. But each year he says, when I have more time, I'll start, and the pages remain blank. I often tell him tomorrow never truly arrives. Only today does. Neuroscience shows that completing even the smallest task releases dopamine, the brain's chemical of joy, which means starting small is not a weakness, it's wisdom. Write one page, take one short walk, make one phone call to a loved one. Each small action is a seed, and seeds grow. And then there are two ropes I see most often in my generation: neglecting self-care and forgetting spiritual life. Society taught us to work endlessly, to sacrifice ourselves for family, for children, for duty. But when you give until you are empty, what is left to offer? I often remind my students, a lamp cannot light the way for others if its oil has run dry. Eating well, resting deeply, moving your body, these are not luxuries. They are responsibilities so that your love can continue flowing. As for the spiritual life, I have met retirees with wealth, comfort, and successful children, yet they still felt empty. Because they forgot, the soul also needs nourishment. Spiritual practice doesn't have to mean religion. It can be 10 minutes of silent breathing in the morning. It can be reading a sacred verse or simply watching the sunset with gratitude. Without roots, the tree will fall at the first storm. But with roots, even the strongest winds cannot shake you. I recall one student telling me, I used to think spirituality was for monks, but since I began sitting quietly with my breath for just 10 minutes a day, I feel like I have a home inside me, a place that no storm can touch. So you see, these habits, comparison, resentment, worry, procrastination, neglecting self-care, forgetting the spirit, are not loud or dramatic, but they are ropes quietly binding your steps. And the miracle is this: when you begin to set them down one by one, your journey grows lighter. Your back straightens, you breathe deeper, and you realize peace was never far away. It was always waiting inside. My dear friend, we have just walked together through a long journey, from habits like overthinking, constant worry, and comparison, to the quieter chains of self-criticism, procrastination, neglecting the body, and forgetting the spirit. Each of these habits is like a rope. One rope may seem harmless, but when many ropes tie us down, even the strongest among us can no longer move freely. But here's the truth I want you to remember. Peace does not come from adding more, but from letting go. In 60 years of life, I have watched so many people search for peace by adding wealth, adding achievements, adding approval, and yet they remain restless. Peace does not live in what we add. Peace lives in what we dare to release. Peace is like the clear blue sky. It has always been there, but clouds of habit, fear, and attachment have covered it. You don't need to create a new sky. You only need to let the clouds drift away. And when they do, you realize the sun was never gone. It was only hidden. One of my older students, 74 years old, carried anger toward his brother for 4 decades. His brother had taken family property, and the wound never healed. When he joined our meditation group, he told me, I can't forgive. He ruined too much. I didn't force him. I only invited him each morning to whisper silently, may I be at peace. May he also be at peace. At first he said it felt fake, but months later he came to me with tears and said, I have finally set the stone down. That moment he looked younger, lighter, like a man who had just put down a heavy backpack after a lifetime of carrying it. This is what I hope for you too. Because 50, 60, 70 is not the end. It is the turning point where you can look back and ask, how many ropes am I still carrying? And which one can I release today? Science supports this wisdom. Studies show that when people release grudges, their cortisol, the stress hormone, drops significantly. Their blood pressure stabilizes. Their immune system strengthens. Forgiveness, compassion, letting go. These are not just spiritual ideas. They are medicine for the body as well as the soul. So I am not asking you to change everything overnight. That would be unrealistic. I am asking you to choose just one habit, just one rope. Perhaps tonight you can put down one unnecessary worry. Or tomorrow morning, you can stop comparing yourself to someone else. Or maybe you can simply say one kind word to yourself before you begin the day. One step, that's all. But one step is the first brick in the house of peace. Imagine waking tomorrow, and instead of letting your mind race with what ifs, you sit for 1 minute, place your hand on your chest and say, I am enough, I am here, I am safe. 1 minute, that's all. But that minute can change the whole color of your day. And if you do it every day, it will change your life. The Buddha once said, no one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path. Even after all these years, this teaching still shakes me because it reminds me, peace is not a gift someone else can give us. Peace is a choice. It is our choice to let go, to breathe, to live lightly. So let me ask you sincerely, as one old friend to another, of the 15 ropes, which one is tied around you the tightest? And today, will you dare to release it, even a little? If you carry that question with you, then you have already begun the journey. No one else needs to witness it. No one else needs to approve. It is between you and your own heart. As I sit here and look into this camera, I do not see strangers. I see fellow travelers on this path of life, people longing to walk more freely, more peacefully. And I believe you deserve peace. Not tomorrow, not after you are perfect, but right now, in this very breath. So take one deep breath with me, inhale slowly, and exhale gently. Feel your body soften, feel your mind open, feel the weight sliding off your shoulders. This is peace. It has never left you. It has always been here, waiting for you to return. Final message. Peace is not about adding more, but about letting go. Every rope you release is a step closer to your true self. And when all the ropes are gone, you will see you were free all along.